The Queen of the Dandelion Throne. In the gentle fold of the verdant valley, where the wind sang lullabies through meadows of gold, there lay a kingdom unlike any other. There were no marble towers, no walls of stone, and no iron gates. Instead, there were wildflowers and honeybees, whispering streams and butterflies that carried messages on their wings. At the heart of this quiet, blooming realm sat a throne, not carved of oak or set with jewels, but woven from living dandelions, forever in bloom. It shimmered like gold in the sunlight and glowed silver under the moon. The people called it the Dandelion Throne, and it was said to choose its queen not by blood, but by kindness. Many queens had sat upon it, each one gentle of heart and wise of spirit. And when one queen's time ended, the dandelions would wither and the throne would vanish, until it was ready to bloom again for the next. It had been 100 years since the last queen of dandelions, and now the throne had reappeared, growing overnight in the center of the valley. Wild animals gathered around it in silent reverence. The flowers around it bloomed in perfect circles. People from the scattered villages came and waited in hushed hope. They knew the next queen was near. But who could she be? Far from the murmuring crowd, in a small house under a crooked sycamore, lived a girl named Mira. She was the daughter of a beekeeper and spent her days tending hives, collecting wild herbs, and singing to the bees. Her voice was soft, like morning fog, and her laughter had the lightness of wind chimes. Mira had never seen a throne, much less sat on one. She did not think herself special. She wore patched dresses, went barefoot by choice, and gave away more honey than she sold. But Mira had something rare. She listened. To the wind, to the birds, to the sadness in people's silences. She could feel sorrow hidden beneath smiles, and joy folded inside tears. She healed what she could, not with potions or magic, but with her presence. One morning, as the dew still clung to the spiderwebs, Mira stepped outside and found her garden filled with dandelions, more than ever before. Their golden heads nodded as if in greeting. A single white puffball floated past her and did not scatter, even in the breeze. Instead, it hovered at eye level, then began to drift, floating with all the offices that plissed and nod. She followed. It led her past the beehives, through the woods, across the brook, and into the open field where the dandelion throne waited. A great circle of people had gathered, whispering and watching, but none dared approach the throne. They waited for someone else, someone worthy. When Mira stepped into the meadow, the puffball came to rest on the arm of the throne, and every single dandelion on the throne turned toward her. The crowd fell silent. Then the petals began to shake.
"I don't understand," Mira said. "I'm just a beekeeper's daughter."
But something in her heart tugged forward. She stepped closer. The dandelions turned their golden faces toward her like tiny suns. As she sat, the throne shifted, soft but strong, and a warmth bloomed around her. A crown of dandelion fluff settled on her head, and the earth itself seemed to sigh in relief. So began the reign of Queen Mira of the Dandelion Throne. There were no processions, no feasts or fanfares. She returned to her sycamore house, still tending bees and herbs. But now, people came to her not just for honey, but for wisdom. They asked her to settle disputes, to bless newborns, to guide the planting of crops. Mira never ruled from above. She walked among her people. She helped carry water. She sang with shepherds. She taught children to listen to the trees. Her crown was a simple ring of dandelions that never wilted. When people asked why she kept it instead of replacing it with gold, she would smile and say, "Why trade what grows for what glitters?" But peace, as always in fairy tales, must be tested. Beyond the verdant valley lay the kingdom of thorns, a land of granite walls and iron hearts. Its ruler, King Marin, had heard rumors of a valley ruled by a girl with flowers in her hair and power over people's hearts. He laughed. "Love," he scoffed. "What kingdom can stand on that?" But curiosity grew like a weed in his mind. If this Queen Mira held such sway without armies or taxes, then surely she had a power worth stealing. And so, under cover of night, he sent his finest hunter, Sir Galrin, with orders. Bring me the girl, alive. Galrin was no ordinary knight. He did not clank in armor or shine in the sun. He was a shadow in boots, and his bow never missed. He entered the valley like mist and found Mira kneeling beside a sick fox in the woods. He raised his bow. But something in her face stopped him. Not fear, not pride, just quiet concern. For the fox, not for herself. "Are you lost?" she asked, not knowing who he was. Galrin hesitated. "No," he said slowly, "but I think I may be now." Galrin stayed in the valley longer than planned. Days turned into weeks. He watched how Mira ruled, not with commands, but with care. How the bees followed her, how the flowers bloomed beneath her step. He saw a child with a stutter speak clearly for the first time in her presence. He saw an old man who had not smiled in years weep with laughter at her jokes. When he finally confessed who he was, Mira looked at him and said, "I forgive you." He fell to his knees. "I was wrong," he said. "Your power isn't weakness. It's the strongest thing I've ever known." Galrin returned. Thunderclouds followed in their wake. Mira stood alone at the edge of the field, watching them approach. She wore no armor, carried no sword. Her bees buzzed around her like a golden halo. "Queen of weeds," Marin sneered. "Do you truly believe love can stop me?" "No," Mira said, "but I believe love can stop me from becoming like you." He raised his sword. And the bees rose like a storm, but Mira raised a hand, not to strike, but to still. "Let him speak," she said. "Let him see." The throne appeared behind her. Slowly, as if blooming from the earth, the dandelion throne rose in a shimmer of gold and green. The soldiers stepped back. Even Marin paused. "You could sit here," Mira said, "if your heart were ready." He stepped forward, reached for the throne, but the dandelions turned away. The seat wilted, the vines recoiled. Marin recoiled, his hand burned as if by ice. "You rule with fear," Mira said. "I rule with trust, and no throne of living things will ever serve a king of stone." He left, not in triumph, but in shame. His soldiers dropped their weapons and stayed behind, scattering like seeds on the wind. The kingdom of thorns would crumble within the year, and from its ruins would rise gardens. Mira ruled for many years. She never built a castle. Her court was the valley, and her council was the wind and the bees and the people who came with honest needs. She grew old, as all must, and when her time neared its end, the dandelions around the throne began to close. She gathered her people and said, "When I go, let the throne sleep. It will find the next queen in time. Do not seek her, let her be found." And one morning the bees were silent. The throne was bare. The valley was quiet in mourning. But the next spring, a little girl wandered into the meadow. She had dirt on her cheeks and flowers in her braids. She sat upon a log, unaware that it had once been a throne, and the dandelions bloomed again. And so the line of the dandelion queens continued, not through blood, but through hearts that listened, healed, and bloomed. The valley remains, they say, hidden to those who seek power, and revealed to those who seek peace. And if you ever find yourself walking through a field where the wind sings soft and the dandelions turn to face you, sit down. You may be closer to a throne than you think.